Well, all good things have to come to an end, guys. And this channel has realized its namesake, from fat to fit after 50. And that's indeed what has happened with me. This whole thing starts back in October 27th, 2019. And we were going for about a month, and I got pretty sick in November. And then this and that, and who knows what. And we had kind of just faltered, Isabel and I both. And then by August 15th of 2020, we decided to go after it again. And I used the same regimen that I had used some 22 years ago. And that would be get up in the morning, walk 2 miles, come home, eat a cup of Special K, half a cup of non-fat milk, maybe a glass of juice, get to work, eat my apple about 10 o'clock, and then eat a big salad with my own dressing, probably vinegar, olive oil is what I liked, maybe lime juice, and only 3 ounces of meat. I measured everything out, and I rotated pork, chicken, beef, fish, pork, chicken, beef, fish. In fact, salmon. And then for the snack, of course you have to have a snack, right? So I had a banana at about 2 in the afternoon. I'd get home and then make myself either a sandwich or a 100 grams of pasta with my own homemade tomato sauce. And so that was about 6 o'clock. So I was probably, the only good things about this diet, and the reason why I probably lost weight anyway, wasn't the walking so much as it was the fasting. So I was actually fasting about 14 hours a day. Now I was eating too many times a day, but apparently I was insulin sensitive enough to where the 14-hour fast allowed me to lose my weight. And so I tried that again here in August of 2020. And about a month and a half, obviously I was huge. I was 276 pounds, about 126 kilos, somewhere in there. And I would have lost the 10 pounds immediately with the water, of course. And still, but doing more, eating less, struggling. And at a month and a half, I had plateaued. Anyway, I think I got as low as 109 when I really pushed it. Couldn't sustain it. 112 seems to just stick in my head. If you go back through my videos, you'll see where I plateaued, and I call it plateau, and it was called plateau for about 6 months. And I think I was as high as 115 again. So there's your range. The average comes out to about 112-ish. And then Dr. Berg's video pops up on keto, and I said, let's give this a try. And I'm dabbing and hemming and hawing, and I suffered a little bit, a couple of really bad headaches. I had some dry heaves, and I almost probably consider that my withdrawal from sugar, because I stopped sugar like cold turkey, sugar and grains. So it was not a happy transition for me. But by the 9th day, and I remember because I resaw that video some time back, I was really feeling good, like I'd never felt better. And, I'd gone up to a 5-day fast. I have that documented. And so I've been floating around pretty much just eating the foods I always liked. I always loved meat. I always loved fat. And I remember I was eating pork chops one day at home. This was, it was probably 12-ish, somewhere in there. And I noticed my mom had cut the rim of fat off her pork chop. I'm like, what kind of person cuts the fat off of a pork chop? I'm like, can I have that? She's like, well, yeah, sure, you can have it now, but by the time you're 30, you'll have to knock off. All the while not knowing that I was actually eating the proper human diet. I always loved it, and then they just forced me to eat mashed potatoes, which, if you had gravy, I'd put up with them. It was more of a texture. It really wasn't like, oh, I need to have that. I did love breads, of course, pizza. So bread was my like thing of that I would have liked to have, but can't. But that's fine. I've learned to live without bread. I'm cool. And so, like I remember my wife quipping once. She noticed she'd come over to the house, and she said, your parents never have fruit in the house. And I'm like, I didn't grow up with fruit. I really didn't. My grandma might have given us a banana here and there, because I remember spending a lot of time with her and my grandpa, and 2/7 of my life were pretty much spent at their farm in the country. So it was every weekend, almost every weekend. I mean, rain, snow, freeze, sleeting, hail, shine. I mean, if you could get out on the roads, my grandparents came by, picked us up, bam, took us out there. Great time. So cool to have grown up in the country. And so she noticed it. And my grandma might give me some dehydrated apricots. I used to love those, actually. But it was candy, of course. And you can way overeat that stuff. But I think she gave us one or two. And I would, eat it really slow around the edges. And the inside was always kind of gummy and moist. I'm like, ooh, this is so delicious. And she would always feed us, for lunch, soup and a sandwich, but no snacks. So growing up, I was a rail anyway. And so I really never did need fruits and vegetables, as it turns out, today. So I did kind of more consider myself, I was like, kind of having cravings, this and that, and then some video came up and said, eat more fat. So sure, why not? So in the evenings I would, make a bulletproof decaf coffee. And then, for example, last night I had half a pound of, actually there were 4 2-ounce burgers. So yeah, half a pound of 70-30 burgers with cheese. And then I made myself a pizza, which is kind of like this cheese I have here, and I put it in a non-stick pan. And then I lay the pepperonis on there, and you just wait till the bottom crusts. Slide that off onto a plate, let it cool, and there you have it, man. You can fold it like a taco if you want. You can actually cut them, and they're so thin. I mean, you bend them and fold them like a Northeasterner should, right? Because the pizzas are so thin. So I had one of those, and that was half a cup, a little more, of cheese, and I think it was about 9 or 10 pepperonis, and those are 2 grams each. So 20 grams of pepperoni. Let's see, a pint's a pound the world around. So I had 1/4 of a pound of cheese, and then half a pound of meat, and that was within, I ate that about 8 o'clock, and I got to bed about 11. So it was 3 hours before bed. Didn't notice it, didn't reflux, didn't anything. I mean, how many of you can eat your food at, 8 o'clock, go to bed by 11, and not wake up with, total gastric pains and reflux? I did that. That's how I know this happens. Eating the crummy processed foods that we eat before we go to bed. I'll eat drink a decaf coffee with some milk, and then eat a sweetbread, like in Mexico. And these things are probably 6 inches in diameter, maybe 5, 4, somewhere in there, a decimeter. And so I found that I was probably, I would call myself a lipivore, because I really am after the fat. I love the taste of it, all the fats now, including schmaltz. Used to kind of make me sick, and I used to not like beef fat, especially if it cooled down. And some of you are probably, oh, yeah, I love it. Salted, no salted. I lick the schmaltz off my plate, like on chicken wings. We make them on these churros, the cookie sheets, whatever. And I'll just lick that off. I love it now. And when I make quote-unquote mayonnaises, I use eggs and butter. If I make a blue cheese dressing for my wings, of course, I'll use cream and blue cheese, and then season it. Salt, pepper, garlic. Like Marie's, pretty much, if you remember that. That was the original blue cheese for the original wings, from the original Anchor Bar, from the original Buffalo, New York, in about the original 1962, I think, is when wings finally hit the big time. So I ate crap load of wings. I eat tons of hamburgers. I eat a lot of pork, ribs mostly because it's full of fat. And fish, I should probably pick up on fish, but it's just not the highest quality. Of course, we do have a fishmonger who apparently brings in some pretty decent fish, both from the Gulf and from the Pacific, since we're right in the middle of the country, right? So I'll probably start adding a little fish to my diet. Well, during Lent, of course, a lot of shrimp, and then I normally fast on fish days anyway, and the church allowed you to eat a certain amount, but I go from evening to evening, so I can eat burgers, before sunset, and then after sunset a whole 24-hour fast, which is I'm used to OMADs anyway. It's one meal a day, and I'll just eat my burger. So during Lent, I'll just shift my timing around literally 6 hours. Instead of eating at 2, I eat about 8 sunset. Okay. So I pretty much can get around the fish thing if I need to. And since my doctor put me on this diet because I know it works and I know it's made me healthy and I have to continue it for the rest of my life, the Catechism definitely allows you to dispense with the fasting, and you're allowed to, I'm going to double check and find out if even during Lent, if a doctor puts you on a regimen, you should follow that. And if he actually says no fish because of allergies or whatever, it's semantics. I like fish. I don't mind eating fish. As a matter of fact, I'll eat fish on any day. Like I said, I want it to be good. I want it to be quality. I need it to be salvaje, free range, if you will. I mean, they have to hook it up out of the ocean. I really do agree when I hear things like farmed fish and stuff. Not probably the best. So here I am, definitely fit. All my blood work is optimum. I have the blood work of a youngster. Well, not today's youngster. They're full of fatty liver and really, really horrifically ill already. If things don't change, you're going to start seeing heart attacks in the 30s and 40s in people, not into the 60s and 70s like you see them today. I have a buddy. I don't even think he got out of his 40s. He already had a heart attack. Another dude that I know, my age, has already had 1 or 2 strokes. I'm like, bruh, wake up, man. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. Stop going to these allopaths, man. They don't know what they're talking about. And stop taking medicines, for Christ's sake. So you cure a symptom, but you're whacking your liver. It's like, whatever. I'm just here to preach, teach, and ag, right? Like the old Dr. Laura on her station. I'm not getting into the morality of food, obviously, but I am getting into food because, from what I understand, food is medicine. Heal thyself. These are old Greek philosophers. So I'm transitioning, moving away from probably this idea. I have a book that I'm writing. I have kind of my schedule, which is pretty packed. I write stuff on paper. And this is pretty much kind of sort of my notes, and I'm starting to watch a bunch of videos. I'm going to see if I can get transcripts just in case the channels go out or whatever. But at the time this book is written and or edited, the footnotes will possess all of the sites that I got my information from. And my big go-to guys are Dr. Barry out of Tennessee, Dr. Eckberg, and Dr. Berg. I believe they're near the Atlanta, Georgia area. Thomas DeLauer, I think he's out in California, although he has a nice Texas star in one of his rooms in his videos. Dr. Fung, Toronto, Canada. Toronto, Ontario, Canada, I guess, if you need the province. And those are pretty much my big go-to guys. I'll get some carnivores pop up here. And there's only one person, Amber O'Hearn, who does lipivore, which, again, I consider myself a lipivore to kind of bring that all the way around. And I'll eat the protein and the meat that dangles off the fat. And it's not harming in the least. I'm doing some HIIT stairs. I'm doing push-ups. Again, I do actually probably more exercise now than I've ever done. But it's not because I needed it to lose weight. Duh. Look, exercising for weight loss is an absolutely horrific strategy. It won't work. And if you don't do the right exercise, you're actually going to provoke cortisol. That's going to raise the blood sugar. That's going to bump up insulin, and then you can't lose the fat. So that'll be in my book. Very interesting. So yeah, exercise actually just for my wonderful brain, which is back. It was foggy. Now it's back. And I used to sleep in late. I had to take naps, 2-3 hours an afternoon, probably because I wasn't sleeping. Obviously, I was snoring, and then, wake up, you're snoring. I mean, and she couldn't sleep, you know. Now I don't snore anymore. I go to bed 10, 11, wake up, crack a whatever the crack is. Today, it's kind of cloudy, but I had my alarm set for about 7:30, which is sunrise here. And I've reduced my coffee big time. I'm down to less than a cup of coffee. I mean, less than 8 fluid ounces. Probably, yeah, a smidge under 8 fluid ounces. 200-ish milliliters, which is a fifth of a liter. Which is, again, less than a quarter of what I used to drink. I was up to 700 milliliters to a liter of coffee a day, and don't need that anymore either. So I'll post things here from time to time as the spirit moves me, but you know, making these videos is what I'm sitting here at 17 minutes talking to you, and then I like to maybe make a nice thumbnail, have to upload it, have to forward it over to my other social media, and gosh, that whole process is an hour and a half. I mean, I have other things I want to do. As a matter of fact, let me see here. I'm a concert pianist. 40 years ago. I mean, yeah, I played in front of the crown heads of Europe. Lie. But I'm still really good. So I might want to do some of that. Make other vids. On a new channel that I'll start. I don't know what it'll be, but I'll put it down in the descriptions here when I'm done. Teaching, of course. I teach English. I'm a linguist. Writing my book, and I'm just having a tough time reading my writing here. What the hell is that? Oh, of course, continuing my minimalist. Have a couple things left that I want to make sure that I get rid of, so that at the end here, all the kids have to do is just burn me and bag me. I'm good. Leaving nothing for them. They don't need anything. They're quite autonomous. I dispensed with this. I want my children to have a better life than I did nonsense a long time ago. Matter of fact, we never got into it. And I see these people, I want a better life for my kids. That's why I stick them in daycare and I go off to work and all that kind of stuff. I know that isn't this video per se, but my new company is going to be also dealing with the mental side also, because that's obviously part of the human condition. And if there's a way for people to remove stress from their life, staying home, homeschooling their children and whatnot, I think it's just better. As for stress, I mean, who cares how much money you have at the end when everyone hates you? Now, what if you didn't have a lot of money? And if you ask any 3, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, I mean, I watch them every day whining, crying, bawling at daycare when I see them. It's not good for the kid. Or you'd be like, oh, goody. And I've heard people calling their daycare providers mommy, not their mommy. Now, if that doesn't hit you right here as a woman, it's God again, right? To each his own. So we're gonna finally get this channel up here. It may take a little bit. Again, I just have an awful lot on my plate. So we'll get to it. We'll write daily task lists. I think I'll just, bam, hit a date on a calendar, work my way back. What do I need to get that fired up? And then just put some daily tasks to it. Just focus on the day. Another great idea. I know the Stoics have done that. Jesus teaches that if you read his teachings correctly and understand what he's trying to do for you. So very cool. Well, it's been a fun run, and all my numbers and all my beginnings and what I did and where I'm at and where I am right now, you can see in my video series. So we'll get this uploaded for you today, and we'll sign off. Sayonara. Have a wonderful life. Look up my new channel when I post it here. And so, like I said, I'll bop back in here every once in a while if something comes up or I have to debunk a study or whatever. And so, with that happy note, we'll let you go. You have great lives, all of you, and we'll see you soon, right? Be well.